AI-powered procurement, foundations, fluency, and the next frontier. This is adapted from a talk I deliver at procurement conferences. If you host a procurement conference, let's talk. So AI meets public procurement in 3 places at once. It's a product that we scope, buy, and oversee. It's an enabler that compresses time to task across procedural work. And it is an accelerator to make staff more productive as a teammate in complex work. Given that, let me lay out 3 current topics. Foundational competencies that let you describe and communicate about AI, fluency that you have to develop for yourself, and the next frontier of where this technology is rapidly evolving. So foundationally, conversational AI has evolved substantially since it reached the general public in late 2022, when large language models were trained through an elaborate game of guess the next word. Today's systems far surpass that and routinely employ reasoning modules, curate data sources, run web searches, and carry real analytic capacity. Adoption inside of your own office varies much more than most leaders realize. Walk your shop and you'll find 5 types of people. One has never needed AI and doesn't want it. One has a specific objection and stopped. One forgets the tools exist and lacks the skills to do much beyond the basics. One uses it daily and considers it indispensable. And one is using tools far beyond what has been provisioned and is fairly confident that you can't stop them. That last person's not hypothetical. A survey published in June 2026 found 2/3 of office professionals had used AI at work, despite believing it violated policy, and more than 1/3 had entered customer data into public models. Verizon's 2026 Data Breach Investigations Report found shadow AI detections rose 4-fold in a single year. Unauthorized use drops sharply when organizations provide sanctions tools that match what employees have already found on their own. Prohibition without provision does not produce compliance, it produces invisibility. Most organizations that stall on AI stall for one reason. They treat it as conventional automation, where you specify a process, configure a system, and measure throughput. This technology does not work that way. People work with it through dialogue and correction the way they work with a colleague. By establishing a thoughtful, acceptable use policy, baseline technology provisioning, market-aligned standards for how AI itself gets procured and monitored, investment in staff training and upskilling, and a plan that encourages testing and learning, organizations build the foundation they need. Fluency. So policies and platforms alone don't produce capable users, practice does. Most people move through 4 stages. Explorers are new and often skeptical. They need exposure and low-stakes repetition. Adopters use it regularly, but struggle with consistency and cannot explain why results vary. They need technique. Amplifiers customize workflows, build reusable templates, and mentor colleagues. Builders develop and manage AI systems organizationally. Most procurement shops sit heavily in the first 2 stages. The highest leverage move available is to push a meaningful number of people from adopter to amplifier, because amplifiers create the templates and habits that lift everyone around them. The evidence that personal skill matters is strong. A field experiment published in Organization Science assigned 758 consultants at a global management consulting firm to work without AI, others with GPT-4, and others with GPT-4 plus a brief prompt engineering overview. Those using AI completed over 12% more tasks, finished roughly 25% faster, and produced work rated more than 30% higher in quality. The group that received even a short training overview performed better still. So now what's the next frontier? We're familiar with chatbots. Late 2022, early 2023 AI use was effectively chatbots. Very smart chatbots, but chatbots, where there was a prompt and a completion. You ask, it answers, and then you take the work. Agentic AI is the buzz these days, and it doesn't just answer. It plans, executes, and iterates. Give it a goal, such as evaluating vendor responses for compliance and risk. It builds a plan, breaks that into compliance checking, then scoring, then risk flagging. It can act, pull documents, and compare across responses, and then reflect, adjusting where it found gaps, etc. So 3 capabilities make this work. Memory that persists across steps, tool use that lets it open documents and query systems, and conditional logic so it can branch on what it finds. The procurement translation matters. The old request was summarize these proposals. The new request is run a structured evaluation against our policy and scoring criteria, flag anything non-conforming, and show your work. And then even further in an agentic AI is orchestration, where narrow agents each carry a role. For example, an intake agent can clarify requirements, a compliance agent can validate against statute and template, an evaluation agent can score and flag risk, and then a unifying orchestration agent can compare the outputs and send individual agents off to redo tasks, as an example. A primary example of this these days is in coding, where it is regular in use to have agents that are on different tasks with an orchestration layer that is able to unify the outputs. To give a real-world example from our own practice, we've built an on-demand help desk called Ask Civic that provides customized self-service support while simultaneously helping staff build skills in AI, and human oversight from Civic staff embedded throughout. In its standard mode, users open independent threads on topics and work through normal prompt and completion loops to solve problems in their work. The tool cites its sources and operates within the constraints of curated knowledge bases. In an agentic mode, when questions fall outside of these knowledge bases, our tool knows to open a ticket, route it to a person at Civic, capture the answer, determine the best method for resolving the question, and update the knowledge bases for future users. The end user never has to know to ask for any of that. That is an example of a single agent taking sequential action. For an orchestration example, we use a variety of agents in support of coding, testing, and knowledge-based curation, where agents act independently, they're unified at an orchestration layer, and then they are guided by our lead developer. So in closing, we've talked about foundations, fluency, and the next frontier. It's a lot of information, but there's a lot going on. In terms of procurement is largely knowledge work. It is reading, comparing, judging, documenting, defending, and a large number of these tasks are ones that this technology can clearly accelerate. I recommend coming at this space from a mindset that if new tools get you to a better starting point in a fraction of the time, take that time back and reinvest it in judgment and strategy, which is the part no AI tool will ever do better than you. Hi, it's Dustin Lanier. Thanks for listening. Please find me on LinkedIn for original public sector operations content every week. And please reach out to me if I and my team of procurement professionals at Civic Initiatives can help you be a public procurement change agent.